hit all the important buttons, make sure everything's working correctly, and say, hello, everybody! Welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop. It is September 6th. We've reached September. The bastion and end of summer is coming to us soon. It's almost fall. Everybody ready for the...
Thank goodness.
I know you need it because of where you are environmentally, but are you ready for, like, pumpkin spice stuff, Halloween? Well, Halloween probably has been popping up. But
Yeah, I already saw the skeleton octopus at my local store.
I truly live in, I think, a really weird place because I have 3 neighbors. Each have one of the 12-foot tall skeletons, and it's just up all year. And each of them, they just dress them up for the various holidays.
I have someone in the neighborhood that does that, like down the street from me.
I get it. I would want to take down the 12-foot skeleton. That seems like a nightmare.
It's fun to see stuff like that. It's like one of the big highways near me. There's a billboard that I don't know if they do it as much anymore, just because of I think some damage happened to the billboard. But for a while, they were had the person on the billboard was kind of like one of those 3D parts of a billboard, and they would just put decorations on it for the seasons, and it was yeah, that's that season.
Yeah, those.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's been 95 plus for the last 2 weeks for me.
Yes.
September, hottest 2 months in California for some reason.
It's just the environment. It's sort of
yep.
I've reached that hottest point and kind of gone through.
I mean, you're not looking forward to snow. I'm looking forward to 70-degree weather.
I don't really look forward to the colder months because of snow.
Yeah, snow is one of those things that makes the colder months kind of suck. If there's just a little bit of snow, it's fine, it's livable. But it's the thing is that you just never know when it's going to be up a foot of snow, and that just fucks up everything. It just messes up everything, and you're like, well, thanks weather.
I still want to try snow over 9 months of way too hot. So that's me personally.
It's definitely a different kind of thing, I think is what it is.
No, I know it's different, and I want to try it because honestly, I'm tired of way too hot all the time.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, I'm better with hot than I am with cold. Both are, it shuts you down both ways. Yeah, but for me, I shut down a lot more in the cold than I do in the hot.
I am at the point where I enjoy the heat more because it doesn't make me in horrific amounts of pain.
What's so funny is I have the reverse. For whatever reason, heat amplifies my pain.
Yeah, I got big problems with cold. Cold makes my knees hurt real bad.
Yeah, again, it's the same thing that people talk about, oh, I love the winter, I love the cold, I love the summer, I love the heat. It's everybody's different, and it's unfortunately you have to live in your environment too, and be used to it.
No, 100%. I mean, that's the thing. That's part of the thing is my dad likes it very hot, and so he always set the thermostat to 80 degrees, and it was terrible.
I don't know how to live with that. That's too much.
Yeah,
See,
everyone else in my family agrees. To the point of where everyone else in my family always turned it down, and he'd get mad at us.
Anyway, anyway, I guess I should give the intros. Joining me today are Worm and Momo. We've got a Worm. Once again, thank you for joining me, and Momo, thanks for your triumphant return to the show.
It's been a while.
I think you've just been busy with a lot of stuff.
Life has been a nightmare.
Unfortunately, that happens.
A Momo worm sounds like a parasite.
You should get that checked out if you have one of those.
Anyway.
That's what RFK Jr. has in his brain.
Oh god, yeah. So, I hope everybody had a great week. Shall we dive into our chunk of topics today? We got some interesting ones. I guess we'll just start with some of the basics, and I got some bit of wizardsy stuff. It's, I guess, 3 kind of minor issues, but I guess one of them I do want to chat a little bit about. because I saw Momo in the other Discord that
You saw the video.
I'd seen that and posted it in my Discord, and it made me think about it too. The Spider-Man set. So I want to talk about that, but I guess we'll start with the other two little magic things, which is there is a Spider-Man secret lair, and I think situationally, as the insanity of secret lairs go, this one's fine. I don't like it because it's like weirdly hard to read, which a lot of secret lairs are. But like it's like,
oh, I hate these.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that's like I both hate them and understand them.
It's not as bad as some of them have been.
Yes, this is more readable, and these are just reprints. I don't know.
It's at least formatted like a Magic card.
True, but
there are some that are just like, I don't know what I'm looking at, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the ones that have like I'd call it monster writing, where it's all like, you know,
God. The cereal box ones are particularly bad.
The ones where they're
all the Oracle text is on the back.
Yeah, the ones that they made them two-sided because like the art was two-sided, and I'm like, this is kind of awful because again, it's not traditional. It's like you have to either have it sleeved if you're going to use it, and then you're not going to see the other side, or you can't use it. Yeah, mess.
Honestly, like, not me Googling the price of Blasphemous Act. I think one of the most common cards. I think it's like, what, $2?
Yeah. I don't think Fact and Fiction's too expensive either. Like, I assume we'll see some people, like, you know...
Frantic Search, I think, is pretty cheap.
Yeah. So...
These are just really common cards. But I guess if you like Spider-Man...
Again, that's the thing is, I feel like there is...
I'm pretty sure they picked the cards based entirely on their title.
Yeah. You know, you're right. They probably did. And...
Certainly
not...
more... certainly more than they did for the actual set.
Yeah, like, it's... I've been worried about the actual set, but we'll get to that in a minute here, because...
I got thoughts.
The professor's video on it at Tulare College did a very good job of like putting together some of my own thoughts about it, and these are my own thoughts about, like, you know, this is going to be like a little bit of like a 5-minute, 10-minute tangent on the state of magic for a minute. We'll do here, but
I mean, did you see what I posted about like the development for the Final Fantasy set, where it's like using Agatha's Soul Cauldron with Vivi is like currently like a V meta.
Yeah,
yes, I had an article about that. That was like, here's the article about that I was going to talk about. Where sort of the thing is like and the thing is like I've heard people talk about this, but I wanted to use this as the example for the article. This is the problem. They can't ban Vivi. They have to be able to ban Vivi. That's the problem because it's standard. It is
Vivi is too broken.
Basically, in older edition, older formats, there are ways to deal with Vivi. Vivi can be strong, Vivi cannot be strong. There are other things that can, with all the sets combined, take care of it. But just in standard, it's too broken. It's too broken. It's stuck there. They've got a long standard rotation now. It's an expensive card. It's a premium card because it's in their Universes Beyond. They've shot themselves in the foot. It's bad. And their attempt to...
like, I took the time to actually like read through all like the abilities and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I see why this is a broken combo, because this guy is pretty good, but his ability requires, you know, 2 colors, meaning like you have to do a 2-color deck. But if you use Agatha's Soul Cauldron, it strips the colors away and allows you to apply it to literally anything, which I can see limitless possibilities for.
Yes. Like, if it was just Vivi on his own, it would be less of a problem. But with Agatha's Soul Cauldron both being in there, it is a broken combination. And the problem is, like, I think the thing is, it's another one of, sure, they could ban the Soul Cauldron, but the Soul Cauldron is not as big a problem as Vivi has kind of been. If you look at, you know, it's kind of like, it's like a, we're getting rid of some of it. It's just a thing of, Vivi's pretty broken, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll just give the last little article here before we turn back to Magic, because it was a technically more of a D&D based one, but I wanted to bring it up too because like apparently they're pushing hard on the franchise model, and it's not a necessarily bad thing, but it is like some of the things in this like little like discussion in the interview hint at some things that I'm like, I don't know if it's a good idea, because again, like there's been hint of a D&D MMORPG. I don't know if that's a great idea. And the thing is,
it's not.
I think the concept of tying things together isn't necessarily bad, but I'm worried that there will be more influence on the outside sources, the way they're kind of talking about this, on the mechanics of the game, which the mechanics of the game should be your first and foremost. And then if you're going to brand yourself out into a franchise, that's fine. But you have to have that solid basis. I feel like that's where, like, doesn't Paizo do this a little better? Because they've been kind of, like, trying to expand out, like, into more products and stuff, too. But they, like, you know, have all their other products under one thing, and then they're... I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading them.
I mean, they allow a lot of, like, they are pretty generous with licensing of their stuff.
Probably a lot more than Wizards would be. / Hasbro.
I mean, to be fair, Hasbro and Wizards does still license a lot more than Paizo, but that's because they're a lot bigger. But, like, if you look at, like, let's say, so Paizo, I would argue, is more along the lines of Warhammer for their size, in terms of, like, how much they just allow people to use their stuff. But Paizo's, not a ton of people are using it. Whereas Wizards is a lot more restrictive, despite the fact that they're, like, way more popular. But they still allow it. Like, there's still Creative Commons. Like, the mechanics are Creative Commons. That's how Solasta exists, and that's a pretty good game and stuff like that. So it's usually more for their worlds that they hold their tighter IP. But if you're gonna do a lot with your worlds, then maybe you should develop them. I'm not sure they've been developed since, like, 3rd edition.
That does worry me about, like, if they're gonna do, like... Again, it's that one thing is... We've seen them do a mixed bag on doing worlds other than their quotation core worlds. That's why, like, you know, with the Dark Sun stuff, I'm very hesitant that they're going to do a decent job of that.
Yeah.
It's a hard topic to do. There's a lot of darker and more serious tones in the Dark Sun world. And unless you're willing to take those on, which there are games that take on topics like that, but I don't feel like nowadays modern D&D is up to take on topics like that, you know? Environmentalism,
not with how safe they play it all the time.
Fascism, genocide, you know, these things that are big problems that exist in the Dark Sun world as an apocalyptic, terrible world, you know?
I mean, I think I've said this before. I have a feeling it's going to just end up kind of more like their, Spelljammer was, where it's just like, it's mild. It's like, they toned it down so much that it's what it was.
Yeah, it's the weird thing of, like, it doesn't affect me, because I never play in official settings.
I don't either.
But if you're gonna make, like, a video game, especially an MMO, a lot of world building goes to an MMO. I say this as someone who's played a lot of WoW in 14. I don't think there's enough that they've done recently to do an MMO world.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. Like, the amount of world building they've done, like, I actually read through a good chunk of, like, the Sword Ghost Adventure Guide for 5e and stuff. It's like, it's not, like, it's nothing. It's so basic. You know, and that's their established, like, area that they use for everything. Like, yeah, they probably have buckets of lore in their databases, but, like, how much do they actually, like, release? How much do they actually use? You know?
Yep.
Like, it's all for stories.
Exactly.
And stuff. It's all for, like, when they do their adventures. And that, if you take that into account, there is a lot of lore that they put out. But only if you buy, like, every adventure book can you get the whole story of the Sword Coast.
Yeah.
And nothing about the rest of the world.
I think it's one of those things, it's that, like, because so much stuff would be established in older lore, like, I got to love visiting other worlds and going to some of these places because of another friend of mine who was in a part of our group, who was the other person that would run games other than myself. He loved running games in the Forgotten Realms. Like, a whole bunch of his games, which were big campaigns, were in those places, and you know he would do his version of them a lot of ways and work on it, but he could always take that lore and craft these stories out of it, you know. I mean, I can understand why he was doing that a lot more. He's always been I'm working 40 hours a week in like 3 different jobs kind of person, you know, or 60 hours a week in 3 different jobs. I think he still does that to this day. Not as stressful jobs, but still does like way more jobs than he should. Good friend of mine and Joe's. But yeah. It'll be interesting to see what's going on with all this. So, yeah, Spider-Man. Let's finish up this little thing, and I'm just going to say this here. So the thing is, there are 2 things that were brought up in that video, which are big thoughts on mine, and one of them is, one of the problems I think I talked about, I didn't know there was enough IP. Guess what? There wasn't enough IP for the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the Final Fantasy, it's a lot of like, yes, there could be some references from games and stuff, but they had 16 games to pull from. All of them having big stories, main characters, even some side characters got a lot of things. When some of these Spider-Man cards are for like, they appeared in a single comic, or maybe like 3 comics at most, out of all the comics that have been out there. 3 comics is not a large story. You don't have a developed character, it's a character that existed. So, this is like an issue.
Prof brought it up in the video, and I think it's something very important to talk about. I do genuinely agree with his point that this feels like it was like the Assassin's Creed said originally, and then that Assassin's Creed said bomb, but the contract was already signed, so they had to rush to figure something out. Because this set is only like 180 cards, which is very small. It's not going to be draftable at Magic Pro.
Yeah, I think that was the other big thing about it, is it's not draftable, so it can't be used at the big tournament. They're going to have to use the previous set, which is like...
They're using Edge of Eternities.
Which is like never happened. They always use the most current set.
This is like the first, because it's not a draftable set. It's not enough cards.
Yeah. And again, I think the big thing is, back in the days of blocks, 180 wouldn't have been so bad. You know, you could probably get away with a 180 card set. But guess what? We had a core of a block that was a lot bigger, and then smaller ones, and you start with that one to draft and draft a couple other packs because they would mechanically work together. We built that out. We allowed for these smaller sets and bigger stories. We got rid of all that. And now we can't really deal with these smaller sets. It's a mess. And I'm like, I'm like not as bad on the mechanics. I'm like, whatever. I think
the mechanics are like subpar, personally.
I think when the cards with mechanics actually worked with the characters fit, I think those were fine. When some of the cards were like, why is this card do this, was brought up, I didn't think about that until the prof brought it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, why does that card do that for that character? Like,
because with Final Fantasy, and granted, I just know more about Final Fantasy than Spider-Man, but with Final Fantasy, you could look at a card, be like, okay, this is Cloud's card. He plays with equipment. That makes a lot of sense for Cloud. Lightning is all about, like, I forget what Lightning's card does in the Final Fantasy set. But like generally the cards made sense to the character. I don't know if the cards make sense to the Spider-Man they're representing particularly.
I think it's also because, like, Spider-Man, I had been a pretty big Marvel fan, like early 2000s. I kind of like late 90s, early 2000s. I got out of it a lot, but I always had a lot of that basic knowledge there. I didn't get as deep as some of the stuff even that time period. And now when we get today, after like another 20 years, I'm like, I don't know most of these extra side characters, especially because they're Spider-Man only. You know, if we had been on the general larger Marvel side, they could have had some more like mid-tier rather than like, they could have just like A and B tier rather than we're dragging like C and D tier characters, you know?
Exactly. I also feel like, and Prof also brought this up in his video, it doesn't fit Magic, and it doesn't fit Spider-Man. Because it's like Final Fantasy. Sure, it has modern stuff, but it's still fantasy. Lord of the Rings, very fantasy. Warhammer is still pretty fantastical. Even that fit Magic pretty well.
I'm saying even
this
Edge
is
of
just like
even
Edge of Eternities.
It's sci fantasy,
which is pure sci fantasy. This is just actual New York City.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know, just it's all of the things I initially was like, this is why Universes Beyond is bad, because it's just gonna be shameless like IP product that's just thrown out, which is what it was until we got Lord of the Rings. To be fair, Spider-Man just exemplifies, I think, all the problems with Magic right now.
Yeah, it's the culmination of the hats line, as the professor said, and it's just, I don't know, will this be successful? I think it will, but I don't think it will be as successful as Final Fantasy.
I actually think it might flop in terms of like reviews. That's because everything I've heard talked about this has been like not enthusiastic.
That's a good question. Will the outside sources for Spider-Man be strong enough? Like the outside forces for Final Fantasy, they have 16 games, and also there is a lot of like, I feel like, crossover there a lot of times with Final Fantasy
absolutely.
fans.
Also, with Final Fantasy, every game was like 100+ hours.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like
with,
you would
with
be
like 10+ characters.
In this day and age, it would be hard pressed to find someone who is in like nerd culture who has never played a Final Fantasy game.
And that kind of makes me think of like, sure, there are Spider-Man fans, but I feel like the same kind of Spider-Man fans that existed, like in comparison to like Final Fantasy fans, they don't exist as much anymore. There's people that would have been like the Final Fantasy fans are now. Comic book fans are now not their own thing. I feel like you're also a comic book fan. Like, I can say, I am a Marvel fan. I like Marvel a lot more than DC. I've always have done it. I still like some, like the movies and stuff from those, but I would never go out of my way to read a Marvel comic now, and, that's the kind of thing is, I still don't watch all the movies, because I don't go to the movie theater anymore.
This is more like also coming out at, like, peak superhero fatigue. Yeah. Peak Marvel fatigue.
That's actually a very good point. Like,
if this came out a couple years ago, yeah, I think it would do pretty well. But now, I think everyone's just kind of tired of superheroes.
I think it's also like, because we don't get the big movies. I think we did have a little bit of a turn over the summer with both Superman and Fantastic Four. Like Fantastic Four, it was just a solid Marvel. I think, like, it was pretty good. But the thing is, that's still one of the best one that's been out in a while to be a solid movie in comparison to the overall movies, It's like, that tells you their quality has dropped a lot, too. And then, like, with Superman being a very good movie, but it's like the first of this new thing, is people weren't probably expecting as much, too.
Superman,
because DC had been so bad.
Also, like, I feel like, I also want to preface this, Superman 2025, fantastic movie. It might be my favorite Superman movie. I feel like expectations were really low, and that might have helped it a lot.
That's what I was thinking, too. So, this is the kind of environment we're going into with this set going. And, like, I feel like we're not going to get the outside collectors like we got with Final Fantasy. We might get a few, but not nearly those numbers. And then we're not going to get... We don't have the most enthusiasm from the player base, who are maybe not Spider-Man fans. They might find it fine because they collect all the Magic stuff. But again, it's also like, it is more premium and more expensive than your basic cards, so why don't you just buy Edge of Eternities? Why don't I just go buy any of the other sets that are just cheaper, Why do I spend the extra money? Like, Final Fantasy, cool, we know it's got great cards. This one, Maybe it's got a
Yeah,
few.
the cards that have been revealed don't even look that good.
There's maybe like a few that I think have like I've heard some people talk about stand out, but like it's very little in comparison to like Final Fantasy, you know. And I guess it's a smaller set.
So I really do feel like it was meant to be with the like weird Assassin's Creed booster style set, which would have made it fine, in my opinion. If it was that, I wouldn't have these issues, because that would be relegated to modern, where it can be ignored forever.
Yeah.
You can't ignore a standard set, because that's in rotation for years.
Again, I think this is I think a lot of the stuff that's going on now is not the design team, it is the higher-ups. They wanted more sets in a year. They wanted all the Universes Beyond to be in modern, not to be modern, but in standard. They are probably the ones that pushed this, and now like the design scene has to catch up to that. Because again, like it is a lot more cards they're putting out a year. It's a lot more like, you know, things that they have to work on, and I doubt their team has grown.
No, absolutely not.
You know,
no, it's shrunk. In fact, we already know it's shrunk.
So it is. We are going to see cracks at the seam like this get wider and wider and wider.
Yeah,
and this is.
And I can tell you,
fall to people at the top.
Yeah, and I can tell you what happened. Basically, Hasbro's like, how do we make money? Well, we can do something with Spider-Man. Okay, we made a deal with Spider-Man. We talked about it. Okay, cool. We'll put out Magic the Gathering Spider-Man cards. Okay, design team, go ahead and make it happen. And then they're like, how?
Okay, now that you've been working on that, can we switch it over from like that and add like another 80 cards and make it
like
standard set? What?
Yeah. They were really pulling deep for various
Spider-Mans. And we also needed to design an online set, because it turns out, now that we're making it standard, we also have to have an online version from Arena, but we can't do it there because of the deal we broke.
Because Marvel Snap exists.
Yeah, so make a whole nother thing that has the same abilities, but is its own thing.
And again,
it's like
it being like the Assassin's.
If it ever comes out, because Lorwyn was supposed to come out this year. Fun fact, people I think forget that.
Yeah.
Lorwyn was pushed back for a set, and they said it was Avatar. If it ever comes out that it was for Spider-Man cards, I might actually like strangle someone.
No, I think it was for the Spider-Man cards.
I truly think it was for Spider-Man.
Wait, what was for Spider-Man?
So we were supposed to get a Return to Lorwyn, which is like a universally acclaimed set from, I think, 2008. I don't actually remember when it came out.
For certain themes and mechanics in it, it was very difficult to revisit, but it was very beloved set. That's the kind of thing.
Because it gave us Planeswalkers, and everyone loved that. It was universally agreed to be like an amazing gameplay mechanic. And we were supposed to get that this year, but they pushed it back for a set, and they said it was for Avatar. I don't believe them.
Yeah. No. I'm in agreement with this one. It feels like, because again, it makes sense that they didn't push for the online deal with Spider-Man when it was going to be a small set like Assassin's Creed, because it wouldn't have been put up on Marina anyway. It wouldn't have been put up online, so it's like, oh yeah, we weren't going to put it up online anyway. Oh, now we have to because it's standard. Can we change our deal? No. What do we do? What?
Yeah. Well, there's one good thing that came out of all of this. I found out that Spider Rex exists, and
Spider Rex does exist. There's another good thing that came out of this. I don't have to spend money on Magic cards for the next 2 sets.
That is nice.
I don't gotta buy, because I don't care about Avatar. It's a cartoon I watched over a decade ago. I don't really care.
Again, like Avatar, if we didn't have the Spider-Man set and we went straight to Avatar, I think I would have been feeling a lot better, because Avatar, I'm like, that's fine. That can fit.
It's at least fantasy, and it's like a step away from actual Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, are they actually like putting out lore for how Spider-Man got involved in all of this?
Probably not.
There's probably not going to be a story to the cards at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Like, again,
they didn't do one for Final Fantasy, so
I think like for Final Fantasy, I feel like, because it's like a snapshot of 16 worlds in one set, I think it's fine that they didn't put out a story for it. But again, like
Yeah.
it's very heavily developed worlds that, you know, you're showing off aspects of the story that exists there. For Spider-Man, there's a million different stories, and I've got to be honest, because there's so many different ones and so many different versions, I'm sure very few of them everyone knows. Like, and even then, even the ones I know about from Spider-Man storylines, I'm not sure other people know about. And I don't even know about everything. Like I can point out, I remember Maximum Carnage. I don't even know everything that happened there. I know the storyline, basically, Carnage does shenanigans, and a lot of stuff happens over a lot of stuff. And it's a Spider-Man storyline. After that, I don't know a lot, because I didn't collect the comics and stuff that time, you know.
Only Spider-Man stuff I know is the symbiote stuff, because I love Venom. And then the stuff that was in the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah. You know.
That's all I know. I don't know anything. I don't know anyone else.
Yeah, the dinosaur Spider-Rex was in the one of the later movies.
And specifically, if it's a character that appeared in Spider-Man 2, the original trilogy movie, because that was one of my favorite movies for a very long time.
I think the thing is, they could have done this better, but I think it was that pivot was kind of like with Death Knell, the assumed pivot. Because again, like
even if you just like compare the card design, it does look like the Assassin's Creed card quite heavily.
I think if it had kind of like focused on a kind of like Spider-Verse-y storyline and had a lot less of the like, you could have had it set in New York, but not had a lot of that New York in it, I think it would have been okay, you know?
Well, you
but
don't
the fact that we
like
get
your favorite creature Taxi Driver,
or like
or the artifact bagel with Schmear.
Come on, what about City Pigeon?
What about City Pigeon? What about Cheering Crowd?
Or Hot Dog Vendor? Was it Hot Dog Vendor?
Hot Dog Cart.
Hot Dog Cart, that's right.
There's also just like
Bagel
angry,
and Schmear makes me like, I think, very angry.
Like,
like
at least
Angry Crowd, I think was one.
Yeah, at least the camera, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like Spider-Man, that's it. But the bagel,
the bagel is like a bit of a stretch.
Yeah. God damn it.
Also, like, it's just, I hate it. I think I just hate it.
Yeah, there's just like hateful aspects of it. We should move on.
Angry Rabble, that's the one.
Yeah.
Not Angry Crowd.
So
but yeah.
Yeah.
I want to give like a 2 cents on this, and that's just like, you know, in my opinion, they're picking. Okay, so there are 2 ways, in my opinion, to like boost a product that I've seen. One of them is to make your own world really engaging. The other is to like incorporate just a bunch of IPs. They're going the second route. For Magic, they really should have gone the first route.
The first route, it was working pretty well.
If they had done,
but they could have expanded on it in like a major way, kind of like Warhammer, and like gotten people to write books, gotten people to do other things, you know, like.
I think the book thing is a knee-jerk reaction from a very particular author who did some character assassinations on 2 pretty popular characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did try and do book stuff.
They did. They did books for a pretty long time, and then the Chandra book came out, and it was not good and quite offensive.
Yeah, okay, I'm remembering that now. But there are ways around that.
It's called to hire better authors.
Yes.
That's basically what I was gonna say. It's like, you can say those are not canon and like hire another author, you know?
Just get someone, hire better authors, and get someone to check your stuff. If you have an ongoing like storyline and world, just have someone read the draft, and then like you could say like, hey, rewrite these sections. Granted, I can understand sometimes you miss things, but stuff like that was pretty out there and egregious, you know? It's kind of
you can also be like, hey, here's our we have this kind of idea about how the overarching story should go. As long as you end at this point, then you're good. And then, like, you know, review it to make sure they stick to that.
I unfortunately do also hold the opinion Magic has never had particularly great writing.
No.
Because
very little I've read, I would argue.
'cause I mean, the way they ended their first plot with the Dominaria stuff was they just like rewrote the ending canonically as a goof in universe. Very stupid. And then with March of the Machines, they like jam-packed probably 2 or 3 novels worth of content into like a set.
Yeah. It was just unfortunate that they sped up that storyline very heavily, and they should have done a lot better.
And we got cowboys and drag racing out of it. And Clue. And just like it's just so
and 80s horror.
I think that's the most offensive one.
The thing is,
that's the one I think that made me the most angry.
The thing is, like, the more I thought about it, like, the original concept of what they kind of talked about wasn't bad, but when they made it like actually 80s horror, I think
actual
that's
just 80s America.
Yeah, it was like, oh, so you didn't live up to like the basic ideas and made it work in your world. You just made it 80s America horror movie instead of like
80s Americana everywhere.
Yeah. I'm like, oof. Like, you could have just done that in world and made Duskmoor be your own thing. There's like some interesting. There's like the concept isn't bad. You just executed it bad. I gotta admit, even like the Wild West one isn't a bad idea. Just don't put characters that we know in there. Just make it its own thing. You know? As soon as you put people that are like characters
maybe like
in
don't
hats.
make like meme card names.
Yes. Or like the
Don't,
race
like,
one. Just
make it God, the race one.
Just keep
sucks,
it to.
There's actually really cool mechanics.
Yeah, just keep it to. I can't remember the new name of the plane. Unfortunately, just because I only remember it as Kaladesh. I know it's changed because of good reasons.
I don't remember.
Just make it on that plane. Just make it a race thing on that plane. Sure, I wouldn't have mind, with the if we go by the open pass, there's people from other planes visiting. I think it would just been fine, a race kind of thing there with a storyline around a race and maybe some kind of like stuff going on that you've got cards based on the race, but it's not just the race, but you also got like some kind of like political thing going on with the new government there and some stuff going on in the background. And I thought that would have been a very much more interesting because it would have dealt with what happened in the plane before.
Yeah, it's Avishkar.
Yeah, we're forgetting one very important plane that came out. Tarkir came out, and that's about all I could say about it, because I don't know anything about it, because it got buried by Final Fantasy.
I really hate that, because I love the Tarkir set.
I don't know what that set even had in it. I didn't know it came out.
It had some dragons. I mean, that was the entire thing. It was like, the storyline is the Dragon Lords that... here, quick, dirty kind of history lesson on Tarkir. Tarkir's a weird plane because the original, like, the 3 sets that were based on, it was still part of the 3-set block, was a time travel story. Basically, this guy that lived there went back in time in order to save the multiverse. Basically, because dragons were nearly extinct there, went back in time, brought the dragons back, but it changed everything because the dragons were kind of like this, competing with the other people there as, like, dominate, so now they overlorded over the entire place. Hey, Phyrexian stuff happens. They lose their position as overlords. They get overthrown because they're kind of dicks, the dragons that are in charge. Turns out, also a bunch of dragons now sided with those people in the revolution because they're like, hey, you know what? We were also kind of oppressed by the higher-ups in our kind of group there now. So now there's like this new group that's kind of like some of the dragons that are like, yeah, we're okay with you guys, and some of these other guys. So it's like this weird new amalgamation that actually I think is a lot cooler of a kind of direction to go for Tarkir. So yeah, I think it's a lot neater of a direction that, like, there's this big revolution, the like horrible oppressive dragon lords that were brought back through time travel shenanigans are gone, but now, like, the dragons that are there are learning to get along and, like, find like a good balance between these two groups of people, and find a new culture out of it. And that's neat. That's cool. We didn't really get that because it was one set before Final Fantasy. Let's talk about Paizo.
Yep.
Paizo has a humble bundle. For Take This.
Once again,
mental health.
Paizo has a humble bundle.
Yeah, it's for mental health stuff, so it's good. I'm just gonna quickly shout this out.
Feels like they have one every week. I'm not gonna lie.
They have them very often. I don't necessarily mind.
I'd say on average about once every other month. Although, yes, this is the second one in the last like 3 weeks, so.
So again, I'd say if you're going to support it, check in on it before you support it. As always, you want to look into the charities.
True.
It's supposed to be for Take Health, a mental health nonprofit that's working on getting rid of the stigma, increasing support for mental health in games and such like that. So it's basically like, you know, hey, it's fine to talk about this kind of stuff, kind of idea, and supporting that. On the surface, I guess look deeper into it if you're interested. You can check what items they also have. The usual basic spiel. It has Monster Core, Player Core 2, Player Core 1, GM Core. So if you're interested in the remaster stuff, it's got a lot of that, and a bunch of the books, including the Sky King's Tomb Adventure Path, which
Yeah.
is an interesting one.
Double checked to see if that's more expensive than the $45, because if so, then it'll be worth it. That's the main reason I get these, is for like the other thing, because I buy all Lost Omens and all.
$30 might be good for like you if you have the physical book, because it looks like the $45 one just adds the Monster Core, but it's the sketch color
Oh, you're right. That
limited
is
one.
the physical one. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the $30. Yeah.
So if you don't want the physical
Honestly,
book,
I
that's
do.
fine.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't want the physical book. But yeah. So the
Mhm.
flip maps are neat. Download them and use them.
That is a description. They are neat. I don't mind them, but they are like, you know, when you have the PDFs of them, you don't use them as much, except in like maybe like loading in one into like a Roll20 or something.
Yeah, the VDT. Yeah, no, I mean, they're not bad.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's just a brief visit to Paizo. So, I forgot this game existed, though I remembered its phrase existed. Powered by Apocalypse. I'm sure some of us have may heard about it, because it is a style of gameplay that does exist. But apparently Apocalypse World, the game that's based on, is getting a new edition. There's an article about it, and there's the Kickstarter launch page. So it's sort of like, yeah, like I've there's plenty of places I've heard the Powered by Apocalypse, you know, for a game system. It's the 2D6 system that they use.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, like, I forgot the game it came from. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess it's the third edition of their game. And yes, I guess we'll learn more when it's getting closer to coming out. But, you know, if you have ever tried a Powered by Apocalypse system before, maybe you're interested in trying the original, the new edition of it. Then keep an eye out. Do they have when they're going live? No, they don't. Just a launch page. Unfortunate. So yeah. I don't think there's much else to say on that one. Just, hey, check it out. So Green Ronin Press is giving us a pre-sale for something, and I think it's based on a book series. Just from my like basic looking into it. 5th season. I don't know much about 5th season, but this is the RPG done by Green Ronin. It's called Role Playing in the Stillness. And let me look up 5th season. I think it's supposed to be based on the novel series. It sounded like, from what people were saying in articles. They don't say anything here, but the original article that led me to the Green Ronin Press's site talked a little bit about it. What do you say here? Anything else that's on here about? It's Green Ronin, so they did the age season. What?
I mean, 5th season is a science fantasy novel.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very depressing. So it's also a very good book series.
Yeah.
It's very depressing.
Yeah. Transport to the Stillness, where characters have to work together to survive Cataclysmic 5th season. I do not. Let me check the book series if that's don't.
Are you trying to find out what this is about?
Okay, yes, this is based on it. So it's the Society of Stillness is broken up into things, and the 5th season they're dealing with. So yes, it is. It is based on that. I'm sorry. I was just confirming because they don't really say very well, and I thought the article said that it was based on the book series. So I'm just trying to, make sure I'm not lying in my what I saw. So it looks like it's going to be doing their adventure game engine again. The age system. I don't think I've tried the age system, or if I did it briefly. I don't remember. I've read a little bit on it, but again, not as familiar with it. This is the one that Green Ronin uses for a bunch of their systems, and yeah. I do not know a lot about the... I guess, as you said, it's a depressing novel series.
Yeah, it's a dark one.
So probably going to be a game with a little bit of the darker elements, I'm going to assume then. Oof.
It probably depends. I mean, it sounds like, yeah, it's like an apocalypse thing that comes around periodically, is my guess. Or this place a planet with a single supercontinent, stillness. Every few centuries, its inhabitants endure what they call the 5th season of catastrophic climate change. So, yeah. So it's just like there's a giant shift in the way the planet does something, probably.
Okay, and it looks like there is in the book a lot of stuff. The character creation, of course. If they pick a use cast, I'm guessing this again something based on the thing, and the world there. So everybody has a comms, which I guess is a community, and I guess the idea is you pick the characters that are part of it. There are 2 adventures that are part of the book. One that deals with, hey, maybe the 5th season is going to emerge. Another one dealing with, like, I guess, just normal stuff of, like, our community has to have a celebration, and someone wants to sabotage it. So everybody should be happy in a horrible apocalyptic thing that's going on. Yeah.
Okay, and apparently people have, like, superpowers. A few people have superpowers, and they're generally feared and hated because then their emotions get tumultuous. There we go. My brain and my tongue did not want to cooperate. They can like lash out with their powers, thus problematic.
They're going to be doing a game moderator's kit, the basic book, which is role playing, and the stillness. They have a PDF preview of it. They also do have a quick start, which is 45 pages, not bad. I'm looking at it. It's got a condensed version of the age system, which is one of those things that I'm like, well, that might be okay in a quick start. It might not. I kind of play that by ear. Some basic setting of the world, and then 6 pre-generated characters. So you're not making any characters there. They don't usually have that. But again, that's also another place if you're interested in looking into it. The quick starts might be a good idea for basics on the age system, if you're interested in playing it. No, it's always interesting when they make these games based on book series, so...
Yeah.
Or other sources. Alright.
It's so funny, because 9 times out of 10, I've never heard of these books.
My partner's a big reader, so I get to hear about them a lot.
Yeah, and some...
Who? Oh,
my
your partner's a big
partner,
reader. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard I partner with Gerber, and I'm like, what?
He's a big book guy. I'm not really a strong reader.
I'm always listening to audiobooks, but that also kind of still is, depends on your genre and stuff. I
usually listen just to podcasts, honestly, at this point in time. I do a little bit of reading, but usually it's like light stuff here and there at this point. Nothing deep there. But yeah. So, here's a question I've got to make. Okay, I guess this works, but it's also like it feels weird and niche. Oh, that's 50 cents. Steve Saxon Games is bringing us a Vox Machina critical Munchkin. So this is like one of those ones where I'm like, this kind of feels weird because
it's any worse than any other Munchkin they've made.
No,
like
I guess not.
They've made worse.
I guess
I'm just kidding. They've made worse.
I guess so, but like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know enough about this. I am so outside of this information at this point in time. Like, I feel like when it's a little bit more generic role-playing, like, you know, Pathfinder did their Munchkin crossover, which I was like, it's fine, you know, This one I'm like, you gotta be like an actual, like, fan, I feel like, for this really to be in your wheelhouse, and I guess they've done stuff like this before. Yeah, they've done stuff like this before. I almost forgot and then remembered, because, I do recall a friend of mine got me it as, like, a joke more than anything. But it was back in the early days when they had less Munchkin sets to buy. They got me the Axe Cop one. Just for shits and giggles. None of us knew anything about that, really, other than, like, online memes and stuff of the time. I don't know if you can probably call it a meme, but, you know, it's like the online word more than anything. But, you know, I guess something that would be more exact like this could work then, but I just feel like, have we gone beyond this? I guess it's whatever they can publish at this point in time for Munchkin. Anyway.
Okay, just a side note, because I saw this on the side, Wormspan is apparently, what does it say? Heading to retail. There we go, that's the word. Retail.
Okay, cool.
Wormspan. If you don't know what Wingspan is, it's a game. I like that game. It's a good board game.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's basically like, it's like a bird game where it's like you have birds and you make them do things. Anyway, this is basically that, but with dragons. And I knew it was a thing, but apparently now it just hits retail. I just noticed that.
I have heard of Wingspan before. I think someone else was talking about how they liked it, you know. That's where I'm remembering it from. But it was like one of those ones where I'm like, oh, cool. Maybe if I, like, maybe someday to, like, look into that, you know. That's the kind of thing, it's sort of like recognition of the name more than anything. So, there's Dragon.
But yeah, there's apparently one called Wormspan, which I had heard about previously, but I just saw that apparently it's going to
anyway,
retail.
We do have a little bit more of an interesting topic. Not that these topics are terrible, but they are like a little bit of a simple topics. But we talked about how Galaxycon had acquired a bunch of conventions. It turns out now they've banned AI-generated art completely from all of their shows.
Good.
Yeah, they're basically, their entire thing is like, hey, it's very unethical right now. We don't want it at all. You know,
don't sell a product with AI art. Pay your artists.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, like,
pay artists.
I absolutely despise that. Like, you have to like scrutinize everything you buy. Like, if you're buying something on like Amazon that like is just a product with like an image on it in some way, you have to scan it so closely. Not even like closely.
Sucks
you just have to like
so
take
much.
2 seconds to look at it, and it's all like, AI. Gosh, there used to be like 100 things that were fine, and now it's all AI.
It's the thing that also, like, nowadays when I'm trying to like look up images, I have to be like, was this in a book that existed before? Especially for like tabletop stuff, or for like some of the images for like the for like Wednesday. I have to be like, okay, I'm looking up for certain kinds of things. I'm like looking up stuff, and I'm like, okay, I've got to go through like the 15 AI images that you'll give me first, Google, before I get to something else.
I'm gonna give you some help, Tantus. I'm gonna put something in chat for you. Type this after every Google search and eliminates most of it.
Oh?
I'll check this on my phone here because I can't.
Put that in every Google search, it eliminates most of it.
Before 2022.
Some of it still gets around it, but it gets rid of most of it.
Ooh.
That actually is very helpful. Yeah. But it does suck for those people who have created stuff after 2022.
Yes, it legitimately sucks. You can also do like dash and then you can do like that. in your search as well. It's just a lot of work to get around it now.
It's usually there are certain points in certain like topics it's not so bad on that I don't usually have to worry about it, because it's sort of like there's like 5 images anyway, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is an official image, you know, that's like easy. But there's just like sometimes when like when I was trying to look up like a masquerade ball scene, it was a mess.
It's really hard.
A good one. And because the thing is, you can find backgrounds, but usually they have like characters you don't want in front of them, and I'm like, I just want like a nice view. Even if the characters are there, if they're a little farther back, I can work with it, you know. But if it's like the characters right there front and center for like, you know, it's an image from a book or something, I'm like, it doesn't help it much. And it's sort of like there are those role-playing books that give you the big wide shots. Plenty of them have that. It's just there's less of them. So it's kind of like find those kind of images, or like the wide shot images people use. It's like, oh my god, this is such a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. I don't mind if people want to use like AI generated image for like personal projects and stuff, but I hate that it's just everywhere, and it's like, I want good art. Stop giving me this crap. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
No, it always looks just legitimately terrible.
And
like
even
that's the thing. Especially the stuff made by like, because this thing, the people who are corporate who are like doing this, like, it's so funny because like every time I see AI, it, like, actually, like, this thing, like, because in my work I'm the one who picks the mail, and I actually just grab all the magazines out of it because nobody likes them, but they get sent to us all the time. But sometimes I just flip through them, and it's like every AI art is just a piece of trash. It's like, clearly you are not being paid enough to care, and you're just putting something into it, and then like it's just.
It's the thing that like I can
use
say,
stock
like,
images.
Yeah, like
if you're a company, use stock images.
I can say for like at very least probably 99.9% of my normal videos during a week, I'm confident I didn't miss anything. But for, you know, that I've got all the right images. But for something like Fall of Avanswell, where I'm looking for more, I can't guarantee maybe one of those images I found there, not one's provided by you, one of the other, like, you know, singles, isn't AI.
I know.
Because again, like, I'm looking for sources that aren't like those AI sources. I'm looking for like places to, like, you know, these things that, like, you know, all these kind of places for the images and stuff like that. And it's like, it's this like kind of uphill battle trying to find a good image to use. And I'm using it for something like a game I'm streaming casually, just something like that, you know. I'm not trying for like.
You need a pin says Peku, so that way that you can like you can actually look at them for things sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will just give it to you if you ask.
Yeah. I a lot of the images you've put into the chat with me have been really good, and I have to remember to go back and like save all of them, because I'm sure all of them will have a use somewhere along the line, even some of the ones I didn't use, because those are very good images that you thankfully ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I pay for them and I don't use them, so I want someone to.
Yeah.
So if it's a game I'm in, it's a valid use in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, there's gonna be 20 shows. I think this includes the new ones they got that we talked about I think last month, or like a while ago. But yeah, I think this is like one of those things I'm glad, because again, like, this is a convention. They're like, you know, you bring, how many conventions have an artist alley? A lot of them.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like, this is in the wheelhouse of like comic / anime / you know, nerd culture comic.
Yeah, we really need some laws around AI and AI generated content. It really sucks that our legislation doesn't understand anything that's happening right now. By legislation, I mean legislators. Anyway, so
yeah.
Hopefully someday we can actually have this stuff handled properly.
The European Union will do it before anyone else does.
Oh yeah, of course. No, I know. But yeah, no.
Oh,
like,
eventually the bubble's also gonna burst, and it's gonna be real bad.
I actually don't think it will. Not for this. It's too convenient.
I think it'll burst in its use, but it won't burst in its existence. I think is going to be the problem.
Yeah.
I think the uses people want to use it for aren't going to work. I think its existence is going to be like there, but like, you know, people that want to put it into like large image catalogs or like video games where like the people want to take it and then publish something with it. I think that's what's going to not work out very well.
The thing is, though, is it's only going to get better, and these kind of like mass uses actually make it get better faster, although I still think there's a limit to how good it can get. That's something that people don't actually tell you, is that given like the technology actually has to change for the images to get significantly better, and that's not really happening. They're just training algorithms better, which is actually different. But my point is that, like, yeah, there are people who are like having real issues by like, oh, we don't need to hire artists anymore. Okay, now we're hiring back all our artists because our products crashed because nobody bought anything. You know, it's like that's happening a lot right now. But yeah, as far as AI generated stuff goes, though, I think that's going to stick around, and I just think we need laws for it because it's going to. In the long run, AI being a handy tool is going to be, in my opinion, important for actually, you know, making sure we can have. Okay, you know, I was about to say, either
I will just say the entire thing of the uses that they're putting these AI algorithms for is not the uses we want to be putting these kind of things for. There are much better uses in our society for these kind of things. Use them there. There's a lot more number crunchy type things that suck that these things make really convenient. Let's do those.
Middle managers with AI. That's probably way more productive.
I feel like an AI could run a company better than most CEOs, so, you know.
Oh, 100%. No, like, seriously, like, AI,
right.
like, that's not even, like, I know you're kind of joking, but also, like, that is seriously true. Like,
yeah.
The Chris Cox, the person in charge of Hasbro, put an AI in his place, and man, I think
it probably would end up a lot better.
Wizards would actually be doing good right now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, one of Europe's biggest conventions is getting even
Or
bigger.
at the very least, nothing would change.
So, Spiel Essen, which is one of the very big conventions you can go to in Europe, is adding an entire other hall and is expecting over 200,000 visitors. Though they have less exhibitors, apparently. So I'm guessing they are cutting back on the exhibits and making them have people have larger exhibits, which I think is like a mixed bag on that one. You know, give people more room, but then you do have less things being shown off. But again, it's like also 890 exhibitors is a lot for 4 days visiting 890 places that's doing, you know, all the stuff there at the convention is kind of crazy, not gonna lie.
I'm not surprised. Germany is alright, well, that's going off, I guess. You can deal with that. I'll mute and let you talk.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, how big was Gen Con was pretty big, but like 200,000 visitors for a convention is just impressive. How big was I have to look up Gen Con 2025 attendance numbers. Yeah, okay, so 720,000. That's like 3 times the amount of people they're expecting. That goes to tell you how big this is. Insane. Anticipating 200,000. I do get the feeling from everything I've heard. Again, this is like one of those ones because I'm not in Europe. I'm not as familiar with it. That Spiel Essen was. Oh, I always heard that was the biggest one in Europe, the biggest convention in Europe when it comes to, you know, more of the game / toy, you know, board game fair. And again, I guess it is more board game focused, I guess, in a lot of ways than tabletop. I always get the feeling of, but I guess it, you know, tabletop in general. But I guess I don't know if it's evolved and become more balanced nowadays with a lot of, you know, TTRPGs and CCGs and stuff like that. I can't answer on that one, how it's evolved.
Honestly, for something that's supposed to be kind of international, I can actually see why that's the case. because board games actually tend to be a lot easier because you basically just have to translate the rulebook and a few other things. Whereas like a TTRPG, you have to make a whole version with a whole translation. So I can see why board games for an international thing would be it'd be more centered around that than tabletop RPGs.
True.
That just makes sense to me, like from a logical perspective. But I agree with you that it's definitely there. It's just probably not as prominent because it's in Germany, but it's supposed to be international. So you get people from like France and England. And
Germany is slowly becoming the convention capital of the world.
Yeah. So
okay,
things that can appeal to a lot of people.
So apparently, back in I'm looking this up. Thank you, Wikipedia. It had 1,021 exhibitors from 50 nations in 2016. So that just tells you, like, it is very global. And it was 204,000 visitors last year. Wow.
Because Gamescom is also quite big. And that's basically replaced all American gaming conventions.
Yeah.
So I can see a world where this just replaces all the American board gaming conventions in terms of announcements.
It's the thing of, like, sure, Gen Con, but, like, when I look and see Gen Con was 76,000. That's an impressive number.
That's pretty big.
For a convention. But then we get to, like, the name number here, and I'm like, oh, now I understand why they have an entire new hall. You know, it's sort of like a hall 4 will have a large stage and, like, a whole lot of other stuff, too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that they've got Educators Day on Friday of the show, a cosplay show for the board game convention.
Hey, people like dressing up like their characters.
I know, but I want to see that because it seems so, like, unusual and neat.
Here's the thing:
Sounds
cosplay
awesome.
shows tend to also be for everything. Like you can do, like. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a board game specific cosplay. Like cosplay competitions on these things tend to be like universal no matter what. They're just a big part of conventions.
I mean, like, you could technically, like, at this point in time, dress up as an Elden Ring character and be like, hey, I love the Elden Ring board game. Also the video games.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah. The amount of times that we've had something translated this time, it just really does expand it out there too. But it and, like, live streaming and all this stuff, it is, like, I did not realize until right now how big this convention was. I always thought it was like more comparable to Gen Con. No, it dwarfs Gen Con.
No, it's really big.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because, like, I'm wondering if this is going to be their biggest one because 2019 was their last biggest one, 209,000.
Yeah.
People. 2024 was 204,000.
As we all know, nothing happened after 2019.
Nothing at all. There's no reason that there's this 0 in the attendance record.
Nothing happened in 2020.
Nothing at all. Just a mysterious 0 there for no reason. No reason whatsoever. I'm also going to be interested in what it means for, not only for attendance, but for when you're adding an entire hall. What does this mean to the entire thing? Because, again, like, it's...
I think what they're probably preparing for is to set up as a convention where people can announce, like, bigger companies can come in and announce things. I think that's what they're setting up for. It's very much, one, Germany's quite cheap to travel to.
True.
Compared to a lot of the EU countries. And two, the political climate in the United States isn't particularly great right now. So I don't know if a lot of people want to do big announcements and conventions in this country right now.
It's unfortunately just the entire thing of, like, you know, there's always the possibility of difficulty coming into the United States right now as a foreigner, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a lot of travel difficulties currently.
Yeah. And that, you know, and until the day that stabilizes, I understand that, you know, hey, this other country might be a lot better and a lot easier for, well, everybody else to head to. So, America, we got to suck it up and go there. You know, if you don't like it, vote for someone else. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
You know, if you don't like the situation where this is, if you're in a board game group, like, people, and you want to go. But anyway, Yeah, this is kind of cool. I'm hoping, like, I'm curious how big the center is. Do you?
When I move to Germany, I might go to this convention, but also I don't know if I want to be in a building with 200,000 people.
That's always the big turnoff for conventions, isn't it?
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. It's sort of like it's like the fact that, like, I felt overwhelmed last year at PAX Unplugged, and that was around 350 exhibitors. I looked it up, and there's no actual, like, attendance numbers that were recorded, but that's 350 exhibitors, and now we're talking about, like, 3 times that amount now, almost, you know, or at least 2.5 times that amount of exhibitors. That's a massively bigger hall.
Yeah.
Man. Jeez.
I'm the kind of person where if I go to a convention, I'll do one day, and then I will not go in the second or third day, and I'll just go do something else in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like people. I don't like big crowds of people.
Yeah.
That's how you get robbed.
It's more and more like
That's how you get sick as well.
Honestly, that's the one I more dislike.
Yeah, it's more and more like I've been thinking about, because PAX Unplugged is coming up more sooner rather than later, but I haven't really decided what I want to do with it, because it's sort of like I really should go, but it's sort of like it's the same thing of like it's overwhelming there with the amount of stuff. So I never know what to do. Like, I've tried I make appointments for everything, but then you're beholden to appointments, and you go to them, and the years that I went to appointments, I didn't really see a lot. And then I tried to, like, just see everything on my own, and then it's 350 exhibitors. I can't see that all on my own. You know, it's just so much, and, like, I feel like, currently for me, I can't do that alone. I need, like, a team of people, unfortunately, for a convention like that. I don't have that to, like, cover it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of going this year, but money isn't money isn't viable right now.
I'll honestly see if, like, there's some friends going, and then, like, maybe make a plan for a day or something. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but again,
lodging expensive, and I am using my vacation time this month because I need a vacation.
Yeah, maybe next year I'll get a living wage.
It's possible I could go next year. I don't know. My life is a little kooky right now.
Yeah, it's even down the street from me, so to say. You know, it's Philadelphia, which is too far from me. It's still a challenge, you know. And then again, like, going as a media person is very difficult, and then going just for having fun, I need people there to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Not this year, but maybe next year. I still keep wanting to go there at some point.
So, here was an interesting article, and I'm going to share this one as we move on. And, you know, this is France vs. Yu-Gi-Oh! I called it, which is really just the French president gave the opening kind of a message during the open ceremony of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, which is just something
cool.
I didn't think I would have heard about, you know? It's like the French president at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament.
Oh, maybe he likes Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, maybe he just wants good PR for once.
That's true. He has had some bad PR. President Macron. Sometimes. So, I guess it's also like, because he's like, hey, thank you for choosing our country for your world championships.
I feel like it's definitely a cultural thing, because he also, like, when Expedition 33 came out, he also did a big thing for that. I feel like it's just like a culture ministry thing.
Yeah.
This man probably doesn't play Yu-Gi-Oh!
No.
If this is the first TCG recognized by a major world leader. That's one of those weird things is to say, is like we have an actual, like, timeline of, like, there's an actual like world leader that's acknowledged at TCG out there. Now.
Yeah.
No.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and apparently one of the U.S. players defeated Germany to become the 2025 world champion. So congrats.
That means nothing to me. I don't know how you play Yu-Gi-Oh.
I vaguely know from the anime, but I also know it's very
Yeah,
different.
well, they
from
play
that.
it wrong in the anime.
I know, that's what I know. It's sort of like, man, I know some basics from it, but I've also like then looked afterwards a little bit, but not enough to like be like, I know how to play now. I know core concepts, and I know it's very different from the anime, and I know some of the
I
basics.
don't know. I see a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I'm just like, that. You don't got enough rules in your game for that.
Yu-Gi-Oh is a thing.
You don't got, there's not enough rules in your game for me to play.
I mean, yeah, I think that's interesting. But anyway, okay, I just found out this random fact because I was looking. I'm like, has anyone ever played like a TCG? And I was like, and I found out that Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering, is the great grandson of former U.S. President James A. Garfield.
See, like, the thing is, I would not have guessed that, because, again, like, Garfield, it is the last name, but I'm also like, it could probably, it doesn't sound like...
It's a moderately common last name.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, as far as...
So like, him actually being related there is like, okay, that's kind of funny and interesting.
Anyway, I just found that out because of, trying to see if anyone... Yeah, there are some politicians, but no president play Magic the Gathering.
Cool. So, interesting little thing there with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Group there. Hey!
Yeah!
So, we got an update on what's going on with Sparkle Pop and Diamond! Yay! So, from last week, I think we talked about it. Basically, it turns out the people that bought up a whole bunch of stuff from Diamond, the people that have caused all the issues in the distributors, they were selling stuff. Now it seems like they weren't, but kinda were. Yeah, no, it's, this is a weird mess. Even more so than it seemed like before. So rather than just, like, Sparkle Pop on their own selling stuff, it turns out they didn't stop when the entire consignment thing happened. But they also discovered that, like, they hadn't been informed what was consignment inventory and what wasn't by Diamond. Because Diamond, like, basically in selling them a bunch of stuff, sold them a warehouse with stuff in it. That some of it wasn't consignment. Some of it was just stuff that was now under the ownership of Diamond. They didn't say! Hell.
No, okay, so that's actually, so if you remember correctly, or if you remember, Diamond, like, apparently had horrendous bookkeeping to the point of where it's all like, they didn't even know how much money they had, which was apparently part of their problem. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that their inventory was also just as badly organized.
Yeah, they didn't remove their consignment inventory listings from the website that turned over to Sparkle Pop, and they left the inventory commingled with the inventory that sold at the Olive Branch warehouse. So yeah, and so like, yeah, Sparkle Pop just sold stuff, and then when they say, when that motion was filed for the entire, we sell all the consignment stuff and get money from Diamond, they stopped selling things then. But then Diamond was like, oh, no, you sold some things, which technically they had sold some things. And also now Sparkle Pop has also said, like, Diamond owes them money for shipping related to a lot of these things. Anyway, because it was cost to fulfill the orders that they had picked up as part of taking over for things. Yeah! This keeps getting more insane, I feel like, with levels.
I really look forward in like 5 years when I'm on YouTube and I get recommended like a 5-hour video about all of this.
Right? I know. I'm like, I can't wait for this all to be over.
I can't wait for the video essay on this one.
Really
right? No, I actually want. I actually want to. I would watch that.
I really agree too. This is such like a weird up and down case of so many things happening.
This is like a business soap opera.
It really is.
Business legal soap opera. Didn't know that was possible.
Apparently,
actually-
it happened in real life.
Yeah.
Oh god. So yeah, man, it is a weird thing to be in, and like, I guess Diamond followed the motion on the 26th because they wanted the money, I think, to continue their bankruptcy that Sparkle Pop had gone, saying like, oh hey, they still sold stuff. But now Sparkle Pop's saying like, yeah, we hadn't sold it after we weren't allowed to. We also didn't know we were selling consignment inventory. Our bad. We weren't informed, you know? Also, they owe us, you know? It's such a weird back and forth, and I'm
not sure Diamond should have even sold them consignment inventory. That's I think part of the thing.
I don't think they should have. I think they did because, again, they didn't remove it from the warehouse. They just had it in there.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, just like, as someone who basically does all the accounting stuff for my company, like, man, I couldn't like, our books are kind of a mess. And I say kind of because at least everything's there. It's just not well organized. I could not imagine how badly organized you have to be to like lose stuff like this.
Kind of impressive, honestly.
Kind of.
It really is impressive.
Yeah.
Incompetence is impressive.
Yeah. It's also like so interesting because like there's some easy stuff that could have been done that wasn't even done. Like the entire thing of like the website that was then given over to the other company being like, we haven't removed the consignment stuff, which they should have known was consignment on their website. Can't you just like delete from the like, you know, website like inventory pretty easily? I feel like that's like not a challenging kind of thing. You know, it's not a physical thing. It's something on a website. So it's not only like terrible mismanagement, it's also kind of lazy too. Lazy and mismanagement and terrible books. It's this trifecta of shittiness. Oh god.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the update on the entire thing going there. This is a thing that, you know, every week there's some kind of weird update. We'll keep visiting the insanity. It's a dumpster fire, and we are observing it from nearby. That dumpster's on fire.
Fun to watch. Not great to smell, but fun to watch.
You're right. So, hey, there's a codex for Warhammer, and it's on big robots.
Yeah, it's on the Imperial Knights.
Yeah.
Is it good? I don't know. Imperial Knights haven't had a great time historically.
Okay, that's good to know, because this is like one of those ones about like, I know a little bit about them. They're like, you know, I know, basically, hey, Bricky's videos, both the old ones and new ones. I've seen those.
They're an incredibly niche army that I've never really seen someone play them. One, because they're very expensive. They cost a lot of money.
Because they're big robots.
They're big robots. They're
Yeah.
very expensive. The ones up for pre-order now are like $200 for one model.
Yeah. I assume it's very like big, powerful part of your army, though. That if you're using
Yeah,
those
and it's
too.
also just very niche, like in a term of like lore. So I don't know how many people really know they exist.
Well, it's like it's also that one thing of like it has its own rules, but don't you then like kind of like also have Imperial Knights that are like connected with other groups too, like to us.
Well, yeah, there's also the Chaos Knights, which is the Chaos variant.
Yeah. So.
Which I think got a codex earlier this year. I don't remember. A lot of these came out this year.
There have been
All
a
of them
bunch
kind
of
of
like,
blend together.
I've been trying to like, you know, mention when codexes come out, especially some of the more interesting ones, but sometimes it's kind of hard because like, I'm sorry, Goonhammer, you have a lot of like random
Chuff
posts,
articles.
a lot of chuff articles, and
I could. The last codex I saw was the Grey Knights codex, and I have a lot of opinions on that one.
There's only like 10 figures on their website, on the Warhammer website.
Yeah, like Imperial Knights are weird. It's
So,
weird.
I mean, it's kind of weird because I feel like most armies have a lot more.
It's Imperial Knights. I think are worth a lot of points. So you, like, if you're playing them, you are not playing a lot of things on the table.
That makes sense.
And again, it's like one of those ones that, like, are they played on their own or are they played as part of?
They're their own faction.
Yeah, but can't you combine like
Oh,
similar
probably.
factions?
The rules barely matter. In tournaments,
thought...
maybe not, but in casual play, I don't think anyone actually cares. I assume if you're playing, like, Guard, you probably can't take an Imperial Knight, or maybe you can, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I feel like for, like, the Chaos Knights, wouldn't they be more likely associated?
Yeah,
with, like,
Chaos Knights are for, like, when you're playing Chaos Boys, which are the better faction.
Yeah, but then, like, you're also playing, like, Chaos Space Marines at the same time, aren't you?
Exactly.
Like, you know,
probably.
with like a group of Marines, and, like, then they're hanging out with a giant, like, you know, knight, their Chaos Knight with them. You know, I feel like that's much more of, like, a weirdly balanced team. Would it not be then? You know, because it's sort of like, is that something that you can do by, like, having a mixed army?
So apparently you can. So quick look. I ran into a Reddit article that says you can because they would count as an Imperial army.
Yeah.
The problem is that the Imperial army would not get the buffs of a specific attachment, like, you know, like a specific branch of the
It's
knights. So
it's weird. You can mix and match, but it's like, for efficiency, you really shouldn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems with 10th edition. Well, really 8th edition onward, they kind of took a lot of the narrative stuff out.
So it's basically like, if you were one thing, you were playing with those rules, but you also get some special, like, group bonuses. So, like, yes, I might need an Imperial Knights book for, like, the rules on how to play it, even if I'm playing it with the rest of, like, another mixed army, but I wouldn't get, like, specific Imperial Knight buffs if I don't have Imperial Knight team. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I can understand that, man.
Yeah, so it's like you can make an Imperial team, but you don't get the Imperial Knights buffs, nor do you get the buffs of the other Imperial unit.
Interesting.
But they count as Imperial, so you can technically play them together.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff like that. It's not usually recommended because, one, efficiency, and two, all of the narrative flavor of the game is long dead. For the sake of streamlining it, which is honestly a good thing because games used to take like 4 hours.
Oh, how long do they take now?
Like
3?
an hour-ish, hour and a half.
That is a lot less time.
You used to have to worry about unit facing, and that caused like at least 30 minutes of arguing.
Oh my god. Look, as someone that I dipped my toe back in the day into BattleTech / Mech Warrior, I remember facing 1,000 issues.
It caused a lot. Like, being a narrative game is cool. It caused a lot of arguments.
I can see that. Just
will this codex be good? I don't know. It can't be worse than the Grey Knights codex. Definitely can't be worse than the Custodes codex either.
Oh god. Wow.
Look, if you know, you know. I'm not gonna go over the controversy from like 2 months ago with the Grey Knights.
I don't know what that is. I'll have to learn
Basically, I'll give you the TLDR. There's this thing in lore called the Terminus Decree, which is like, if like the Imperium is dead, this is the plan. And only like one guy knows where to go get this plan from. So in the current codex, they were basically like, all right, the plan is if the Emperor ever gets off the thrones, the Grey Knights gotta put him back. Yep.
Wait.
1, if he gets off the throne, the Imperium's dead. 2, the Grey Knights don't know this plan until it's happened. And 3, I don't know how they're getting past all the custodians.
But also, why?
Yeah. It also, like, doesn't say how they're supposed to do it either.
Yeah, because, like, I'm assuming if he can get off the throne, there's a reason.
If he can get off the throne, one of two things have happened. One, he's become the 5th Chaos God and Terra explodes.
Yeah.
Or 2, the Star Child's back, and that might be worse.
I don't know much about that one. I knew the
Star
other
Child is all of the Emperor's compassion that he threw into the warp. It's all of his nice goodness. If that comes back and sees the Imperium, it's probably not going to be a good outcome.
Wait, what?
So,
Yeah.
in the Horus Heresy, I'm giving you the very TLDR. The Emperor really didn't want to kill Horus because he couldn't bring himself to do it. But when Sanguinius died, the Emperor threw all of his compassion and love into the warp so he could kill his son. And that exists in the warp as an entity called the Star Child. That might come back one day. They've been sitting on that plot line for like 20 years.
Huh. That's really
got
weird.
mentioned in like some recent books too, so it might actually happen eventually. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm actually curious. So then, like, what is the Emperor? Is he's like not dead, but he also is.
He's a skeleton on a throne whose soul exists in the warp, slapping chaos around.
I also know he was technically a perpetual beforehand, which because he's not the only one, which is kind of like immortals that exist in the world.
Yeah, I don't like perpetuals. I think they're dumb. It's weird. The moral of the story is 40k is stupid, and once you realize that, the only good faction is the orcs.
They are just out there vibing. I mean, I'm not
They're
gonna
just
lie.
out there having fun.
Yeah, they are just really just vibing out there. Like, hey,
look, there's like
we're vibing.
Eventually, when you're a Warhammer fan, you go down one of two paths. One, you realize the universe sucks, everyone's evil, so you pick the most evil guy, Chaos, or you realize this is a dumb universe, so you pick the silly guy.
There is some level of like stupidity to all this, so I'm not gonna...
Warhammer is the dumbest setting you could ever read about.
Wow. Man. Like...
Anyways, I have opinions on Warhammer currently. I could talk about it for hours.
It's you know, again, just hearing about that, like, there's some other like lore and worlds that exist with some of these things. Like, this is a side note. The entire idea of like kind of more perpetual characters, I don't necessarily mind because again, it's like it's one of those things. Is I did not know it was handled as badly in Warhammer.
It's been handled pretty badly.
Because it made me think of in Shadowrun, there's immortal elves who are supposed to be back from Earthdawn and who have hidden amongst the societies. And I thought that was an interesting idea because they found a way to, like, you know, nourish a little bit of magic and survive all these years. Kind of like how dragons kind of can remember the old times because they went into a hibernation. I thought these were kind of interesting ideas, and they always use them very well in Shadowrun lore. They still talk about them, but not as much about the entire Earthdawn stuff with that entire shenanigans that happened there. But again, like, that's the point in time where I'm like, oh, do they just use them like this? And I'm like, oh, no, they don't. They do them badly.
Yeah, but you see... unlike Shadowrun, Warhammer is written to sell toys.
Yeah.
All of the lore is derived from little plastic men that they want you to buy. So they're gonna make sure you think they're really cool. And nothing else matters.
They aren't really that cool with what's going on.
No, they're not. Like, genuinely... There's nothing that cool about Warhammer. You just gotta kind of embrace how stupid it is sometimes.
I can see that. Embrace the stupidity.
Yeah. There was a post on Twitter recently. It was a person who just like posted a picture of every Horus Heresy book in a pile and was like, I finally finished all the Horus Heresy books. And someone replied, were they good? And they just replied, no.
Wait, sorry. I just looked up like something you mentioned a bit ago. The what was it? Perennials.
Perpetuals. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that led me to like two other things to read this line, which is discovered a portal that led to the Webway's vast network of tunnels that had been constructed eons ago by xenospecies more ancient than the Terran sun. I have not heard of this before. This is an ancient alien species.
So that's the Eldar built that before the Eldar exploded and died. Because the Eldar Webway. Then Big E was like, I'm gonna tap into this to advance humanity, which was genuinely a good idea.
Yeah.
But he has this son named Magnus who was told to do nothing and did all of that wrong, and kicked down the door and summoned a bunch of demons by accident.
Yep. Yeah. So okay, I was like, oh, is there like an alien, a long dead alien? No, it's the Eldar. Okay.
It's the Eldar, and then before that,
I mean, they are kind of long dead because there's not a lot of them left.
Well, there's the punching bag of Games Workshop, so they kind of wish they were dead. I feel like.
Sorry, Eldar.
Dude, elves aren't allowed to have shit, dude.
It's a thing. Well, there was another tangent we could get on, a little bit of a Warhammer tangent there, which I think worked out pretty well. Shall we have our basic topic for today, which is one that we pushed from last week, which was one that we kind of brought up when talking about some labyrinthy things, and I wanted to kind of revisit as its own episode, Skill Labyrinths, as our deeper discussion, because we kind of discussed some of their forms and kind of their existence, but like we kind of go into it like a little bit more. So, as a definition for what a skill labyrinth is, in this little discussion, if you don't remember our kind of labyrinth dungeon discussion we had months ago at this point in time, they're basically a thing where, yes, you might have combat, but it's going to be all about more skill challenges or skill tasks to get through a labyrinth. This can take the form of a few different things. It could just be various skills you have to overcome, more like a skill test. It could be, more you use like cards or I'm thinking about I'm starting to think of something other than the cards that I've seen. I know there's some other stuff other than like the card-based dungeons and stuff like that, but I'm trying to. My brain is blanking out on them right now. Yeah, like if you think about like drawing cards and seeing what they would do, it'd kind of be like on the front on that line of things for how to define a skill-based dungeon.
Yeah, so you're talking about like a dungeon that's more of a skill challenge than
traditional dungeon
in some form or another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's got some kind of more. It's not like a normal dungeon crawl.
No, this is it takes the place of it. I kind of ran one in fall. I think it went fine, but it was kind of like I was experimenting with something a little different, and if I wanted to run something using that system again, I would take some time and refine the system. I'm not going to lie. I think it was fine. It wasn't a great system I used, but it was fine.
Yeah. So, there's some things I would love to run the numbers on skill challenges at some point to like figure out kind of a better way to do them. The 4E way is meh. I've seen also Tales of the Valiant also has like a section on skill challenges, so that's nice. There's in the end you want to like make it so the players can succeed but have a chance of failure. But then you also have like other, and that's just for skill challenges.
I think the thing is, a skill challenge becomes a dungeon when it's a lot more than just an individual challenge. I think too, like you have multiple tasks you're doing, and I think like we are being a little bit like open-ended about this, but there is forms of this that can be in other systems too. I feel like that are a lot more than like
yes.
When we talk about like D&D, they're very straightforward about like, oh, I make some survival checks, I make some like acrobatics, athletics checks, things like that, maybe perception checks. They're very simple.
Yeah.
It could take the form of something like, let's say, it would work both in like a more modern game or something like Shadowrun. I have to break into some place. There might be no one there, nothing to fight, but it's going to be all about the skills to overcome what's in this place.
Even if there is someone to fight, it may not be important enough to actually do a fight. Instead, it's like, okay, well, we're doing this stealthily. We need to eliminate him rather than fight him, and then like you just narrate based on a skill or something rather than like actually do a fight.
Yeah, I think
it's like, how do you take out the guard?
I think a skill dungeon can be those kind of like the card dungeon kind of like challenge things as we talk about, but it could actually sometimes be that actual dungeon too, I think it works a lot better in more like modern settings where there is issues that need a lot of skills rather than something like a traditional D&D based dungeon. But I'm sure you could come up with something that would be like a series of challenges / minor puzzles that aren't the main focus individually, but all together build to some kind of skill-based dungeon, maybe?
Yeah, when you say that, it kind of reminds me of what is it called? Is it Slay the Dragon? No. What is that called? Where it's that video game where it's all like it's your guy walking in who a princess got stolen. It's like a very old game. It's like an arcade.
Old arcade game. More description.
Dragon's Lair?
Dragon's Lair, thank you. Yeah, Dragon's Lair. How it's all like you can like sometimes pick directions, and then there always like something happens. I could see that kind of being very like a skill dungeon, basically being made out of scenarios like that, where it's like, okay, instead of like really making it about a fight, it's more like, okay, this floor starts falling out from under you, or you go this way. So it's like you can actually have like events that happen in rooms or hallways and stuff, but there's not going to be any fighting. It's all going to be, skill based.
Yeah, or maybe if there is a fight, it'd be some kind of like minor fight or something like that too. I can kind of see those. Like, oh hey, it's sort of like rather than automatic failure for you screwing up, it might be like, oh, I have to fight some minor enemy or something, which could handle some resources that might help out with some other part of the challenge later on. That goes to the resource management of most games and dungeons then too.
So here's the thing. If you're going to make something like this, and there are plenty of things I've seen, I'd love to do. I'd love to build like a toolbox of all of these options. But here's the basic, basically breakdown basics you definitely need a condition for failure. Death is not a condition for failure in most RPGs. Unless they fail really badly. You can make it so death is an option, but they have to all roll ones, They almost have to, players tend to have to go down a route that leads them to their own failure. Players tend not to like it when failing a check means instant death. That's usually not fun.
Agree. Yeah.
Now, falling into a pit full of 10 monsters that you can then do a normal combat to see if you can get away from, that's different. You usually want several layers, though. Yeah. So, yeah, good condition for. So you need a solid condition for failure, and it shouldn't be like they die. It should be okay. Now they're trapped here, or now something. Now they need to do something else, or they've lost a piece of equipment. Even honestly, even that last one can sometimes be not very. Players can have a hard time with that one as well.
Yeah, I think if you're. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go.
I was gonna say, I think if you're going to build something like this too, you have to put in this kind of condition about the setting in a lot of ways. It's easy to come together with what we could call a, when we talk about a skill challenge. That's pretty easy. It's got one thing to overcome. A dungeon, normally what you think about it as is exploring an area, maybe getting some treasure, and maybe encountering some challenges, whether traps, monsters, or hazards. When you're going to straight skill-based stuff, you're usually either minimizing or eliminating the creatures, and then even if you're kind of moving away from the map, you still have to kind of make it feel like they're exploring something. There's a lot of this essence that you want it to still feel like a dungeon in a lot of ways. And again, you can still make one that has a map sometimes, depending on what you're kind of the form you're taking and the directions you're going in. There are a lot of ways to handle it. There's not just one way to handle this. But I think the basic concept behind all of this is I'm telling the story of this dungeon through my more than just physical combat, through skills, abilities, knowledges, other types of physical activity your players are able to do. And I think that's also where it's important to connect this up with what your players can do. understand what your players are capable of, what kind of checks they're good or bad at, and then build around that.
Yeah, there's
So
definitely
true.
different. I've seen a lot of different things when it comes to like skill challenges, like select skills and skills that aren't that players that don't and players that don't use those skills get a penalty, or players that don't use those skills get a can only use it once. And then you also got like other ones where it's like, oh, all players can only like between all the players, each skill can only be used once. I do like those kind of artificial things. It makes people think outside the box and collaborate with each other. Honestly, there's very much that thing because like if you don't but I actually think you do need a restriction like that because otherwise players will always use the same thing over and over again, and like the one player who's good at it will so shine, which honestly isn't a bad thing. With that being said, sometimes I've seen in most official things I've seen like, oh, select a thing, and if you use that one thing, like you can use that one thing over and over again. I'm like, that's not actually the best way to do it. In my opinion, the best way to do it is like you each can only use one skill once, or between all of you, each skill can only be used once. So that makes them think outside the box.
Yeah, I think more on the outside the box thinking is something more I would go with too. I think it would be like, I might not completely restrict using things, but it might be like, for this time you can only use this one check, or like, you have to choose a skill for this, or things like that you maybe don't completely remove the ability to use the skill over and over, but like, you restrict it in certain ways. Just finding that balance too is very good, because again, you don't want to like have a challenge that nobody could roll, but you also don't want it to be like, so easy because that one guy that's good at that thing really good can just constantly do it, It's finding that balance between the two of them is not always easy. It's a challenge of you who's making this dungeon in a lot of ways.
You're also going to need some sort of solid mechanic. Like that's the thing. Like you need to have rules for this kind of thing. You can't. You could do a skill challenge where it's just players describing like what they do in response to things, and basically being like, okay, and then this happens. It's
that's the basic form of it, I think.
Yeah. But I feel like generally some sort of progress. Well, okay, it depends. If it's kind of more of if it's a dungeon scape kind of thing that we're talking about, where it might not be linear. Maybe there isn't a counter. Maybe it's just more. I think, or the counter is how many challenges they succeed at versus fail at, and that determines something.
I think it depends on the purpose of the dungeon you're going to, because the purpose of a dungeon it can be as simple as exploring it, or as complex as we have to defeat this certain enemy or find this certain item. Granted, like defeat the certain enemy, you might have to go through those skill challenges to get to the final boss. That might be your only encounter. It's like, we got through all the things that were blocking our way to there. It could, on the other hand, be like, we've gotten our way to the final chamber to open it up and gain the powerful thing. Or again, it could be just, hey, there's this weird place here. It's got some. It could be dangerous. You should check it out. Let us know if it's dangerous. That could be just the option you're taking too.
Yeah. Personally, I think if you want to like, the problem with, I was about to say, you should really look at Pathfinder's stuff, because their encounter design and variant rule things, like where is it? No, where is it? It's in. Where did I add this? Subsystems. That's what it is. That's the section. They have like a bunch of subsystems, and they're all kind of like neat, but they all follow a very similar thing, which kind of, in my opinion, requires the mechanics of. Well, they don't necessarily require the mechanics of Pathfinder, but yeah. So it's very much because like the way it works is that like you do. Like you get +2 if you critically succeed, +1 if you succeed, -1 if you critically fail, and then like 0 if you fail. But they have a very strict section for that setting. There's very strict rules for how that works. Whereas like if you're going for D&D instead of Pathfinder 2e, you're gonna have to figure out like, is it +5, + and -5 is a exceptional success or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so But they actually have a bunch of different systems, which I think are cool, because it's like, it's kind of nice to have them address other than combat in a very serious way. Like, they have the research, infiltration, reputation, influence, like influence activity, where it's like you're actually trying to, like, make someone like you, or do something, or convince someone of something. Like, so, like, these kind of like skill-based things are very cool. I like that Pathfinder addresses them in, like, how many pages is this section?
The thing is, like, while you're looking it up, this adds variety to your games and stuff like that. And I think that's why they're kind of important to think about maybe when you add them, because it's more than just regular combat. And as much as, like, your average dungeon...
They put 20... Yeah, it's 20 pages. Yeah. Is their section on just these out-of-combat stuff.
And a dungeon crawl is fun, but you can only have so many in your adventure, too, And as we kind of talked about, the dungeon crawl takes a lot of forms. It's like, exploring and going over a base and something like that. And you don't want to just have a lot of them. So this is like kind of like alternate ways that you can kind of get that same kind of thing without, like, doing it. And, it's the idea of, like, I'm exploring an area rather than, travel. Again, like, you got the traveling skill challenges and stuff like that, or various skill challenges that exist everywhere. This is kind of like taking, like, a combination of skill challenges and dungeon exploration and coming up with some kind of weird hybrid that works for your game. Yeah. What mutant have you created?
I have never heard of a group who doesn't like the change of pace that skill challenges present. Because it allows you to shine outside of, the actual, it allows you to shine outside of, like, combat. Like, yeah, a lot of games are very combat focused because it's a very easy thing to, like, make a lot of rules about. War games have been around for a while, tabletop RPGs have been around for a while, etc. So...
Yeah. I think it's like, as we said, we've kind of talked about this when I talked about some big dungeon stuff in the past, but I think, like, kind of bringing it up on its own and using this as a little extra topic where we kind of can explore it a little bit more is good, because, like, it's... I'm a big fan of, like, adding in some alternate stuff that's just, gives a little bit. It's just that you do have to be careful with it. That you don't overuse it, that you don't wreck the pace, that you don't... It's like, you have to be smart about when you use things like this, is all it is. Because, like...
I honestly think, like, I don't even think that's a necessary warning, because I actually think you could use it, like, combat skill challenge, even that frequently is honestly fine.
I'm kind of more on the line
if it's a mainly non-combat game, the skill challenges might even be nice to have, like, a lot of,
Will that be everything you have? I was just thinking about, like, because...
Well, I mean, like, if you're doing a political D&D game where it's, like, 90% skill challenge.
That's what I mean, like, because, like, talking about it as a skill dungeon, it's a little bit more than just your average skill challenge. It's more inflected, and because, like, you are usually, like, there is no big formula for how to do that, That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So sort of like you have to kind of figure out how you're putting it into your game. I'm more on the line of, there are ways you can screw it up, be careful about that, and if you do something wrong, work with your players, you can always figure it out. As I said, I came up with my own system. Was it good? It was okay. I'd probably refine it.
And I think that's the thing. Like I think that's the hardest part about them is designing them. Using traditional ones is nice. I think it's honestly using ones that people kind of already mapped out for things like D&D and stuff. There's lots of tools online, or a lot of people who talk about this kind of thing online. But realistically, and there are some established ones, but honestly, if you put some work and thought into it, honestly, say if you're going to make your own, put a good amount of work in. I wouldn't say cheap out, like, or at least make it clear to your players that I'm trying something new, and then being like, okay, taking feedback, and then, actually trying it again later.
It's just have fun. Again, that's all you're trying to do. Just have fun with this. Try something a little different. Add a little bit of spice to your game. With something a little bit more interesting and creative. That's the entire point of talking about these alternate things when it comes to the dungeon crawl, especially something like this, skill labyrinths, skill dungeons, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. I think we kind of said everything important about this, unless there's something else that either of you want to kind of add to this entire concept.
Nah.
Okay.
The whole card-based one I like for the dungeons. I actually like Labyrinth. I like the Labyrinth-based skill things. They're nice.
The card ones are interesting because it's kind of like you draw cards that have an effect, but you also make checks and kind of figure out who does them.
Yeah, the real issue with the card ones is no VTT has a good card system.
Yeah.
I don't know how every VTT has managed to screw that up so bad, but they have.
Yeah, unfortunate. So, that is the unfortunate part about it. That there are some things that, like, if you're using, which most of us use nowadays, VTT, some of these systems you can't really integrate very well.
Yeah,
so
Foundry's the worst. I honestly don't know how that happened.
I haven't looked into their card system, so I wouldn't know. But I'm gonna be like, okay, cool, worse there. Good to know.
It's a pain to set up. It's not very visual, which is kind of problematic for a card-based system. It's basically just like lists. So it's all like, oh, okay, I can draw a card from this list, and then now it's in my list.
I'm glad I didn't go for a card system then when I was experimenting with stuff and trying to figure out what the dungeon.
Now, to be fair, there is apparently a module that makes it way better. I have to look into it and how to use it, but yeah, I looked into that at one point and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this needs to change.
Someone at least made something that is a little better. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like I did not know it was possible to screw something up this badly, because that is like so unintuitive how that card thing works,
Alright, well, shall we finish up today with our week in gaming?
Sure.
So, I guess it begins last Saturday for me and Worm, because we had Joe's game. We had a special Saturday session where it's like, I feel better about it now, but I'm still of a mixed opinion, because it's sort of like, it's a weird thing to be at. Because I don't know, like, we failed. I'm going to say, we both succeeded and failed at the same time.
So, yeah, they stole only one.
Yes. But in what would have been appropriate would have been they stole none. That was what our point was to get these and cause them problems. So basically, like,
I do agree that we failed to prevent them from getting any, which was the goal.
No, they got one. That's what I mean. We failed. Oh yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying.
Our goal was
we failed to. Yeah.
Well, I think we could not prevent them from getting any. But the thing is, like, because we've been on a time crunch, kind of, having them have to work harder for it was one of those goals. And they got it really easily. Meaning that, like, I'm not gonna lie, part of me is also, like, practicality stepping back. I don't know if our plan would work anymore. The thing is, we were gathering all these things to do this. Explain it all. Okay. We are on a fetch quest to gather them.
I want to explain real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, even shorter than that. We had gotten a MacGuffin, and there were two of the MacGuffins, thankfully. But then Joe managed to pull off them stealing from one of us. One of the MacGuffins.
It required.
Now, granted, we only needed one of them, but we were getting the second one for mob boss, basically. So now we're gonna have to face them with just one.
But it was also like, it was such a series of failures, but it also made me think of something like this. No. I thought about this and I'm like, I don't like that character's mechanics. That's where I came down to this. This is now less about what happened and more about, like, it was a thing that had a charm effect that there was no way to overcome. I think that's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, to be fair though, there were 7 failed checks to get to that point.
It's true, but the fact is, there was no way for any of us to overcome it. None of us could do anything about it. once we were charmed. There was no way of canceling it, no way of removing it, bar none. It attacking us, not its allies. It. And then it could just. Here's the thing too. I understand what Joe allowed, but personally, as a DM, I would not have done it that way. I don't think that would have been allowed. I pickpocket you for it. I don't think that would have been appropriate in battle. I never think, unless you are completely hidden, sleight of hand would be appropriate. I think her coming up and making a check to convince the person to hand it over would have been more appropriate, because then at least it's a check.
Yeah. Well, here's my thought, is that...
And takes time.
I actually think... Here's where I think it actually should have been. I don't think... I actually disagree with that. I think the thievery check should have been fine. I think we all should have seen it, because it was in combat. I think just her palming it is fine, but now we as the players would have to think about how to stop her without being able to harm her.
Yeah, we weren't even allowed to react to it, I think was the other thing that I really disliked.
Yeah, because he succeeded at the check, and he's all like, well, in combat, you're all paying attention to the other enemies, so none of you would see it. It's like, actually, the way I see it, in combat, you tend to be hyper-aware of everything around you.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to notice something.
And you know, she'd been doing buffs. Like, we were all charmed by her. We're like, oh, yeah, we kind of like you. But the thing is also, like, we were like, hey, stop buffing them. You know, she's doing stuff over there. It's not like she's not involved in the combat, you know? So sort of like, you know... as I had Vander saying, like,
it's basically a magical effect where we couldn't harm her.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to like her. Like, that's the thing. It's a charm effect.
And again, her charm effect did not end at all. And except as she attacked us, we didn't have a chance to overcome it. It was one of the most powerful charm effects I've seen that wasn't a dominate. And it's supposed to be charm, not a dominate.
I think it lasted 10 minutes. So, like, it couldn't have...
It lasts for, like, an entire combat. Without any kind of, like, concentration or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Monster fight. I'm just looking up Charm Monster fight. Just curious about this. Like, Charm Monster. Like, here's the thing. If it was a Charm Monster, we would have had advantage because we were fighting.
Yes. So let me look at the ability real fast. Give me 2 seconds to load up into the
Or
games.
until you or your companions do anything harmful. So, its ability excluded its companions, I think was the other big thing about it. When we know they're its allies.
Yep.
Sort of like, again, it just was it rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, and I'm thinking more about it. I just like the...
It was 1 minute. Yeah, so each creature within 30 feet of the muse must make a DC 18 wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature has the charmed condition for 1 minute. On successful save, the creature becomes immune to any muse enchanting presence for 24 hours. Whenever the muse deals damage to the charmed creature can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect on itself on a success. So yeah, and that's the thing. It was an aura. So as long as you were in her aura, you had to make the save.
And like, Charm's just so hard to get rid of. Because bards suck at it. Counter Charm is the worst ability.
Yeah. Like, how to get rid of Charm 5e. That's funny enough, because I took how to get rid of, and it said Charm 5e. Ways to spell Charm person. I mean, besides... Yeah.
What was it again? I just want to... When we were fighting.
The only way really to get rid of Charm is wait.
It's just wait, or, honestly speaking, have its companions attack you. Like, as soon as something of the other team is aggressive to you, you get a chance to overcome it. We didn't even get checks. Ever. Again, it's just... I don't like not being able to try to do anything. Like, I think that's the thing that I think that's what it was. I had no options that I was able to try at all, and that's what I didn't like. I couldn't do anything when I failed one save. It took one save to make me be useless at something. Just one. And I think that's where,
to be fair,
that's where I didn't like it.
I mean, I disagree with this. So here's the thing. The issue I had is more the way Joe handled it. The effect itself, I think, is totally fair. There were 6 of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, who all had to make a save, and then on top of that, we had to fail like 2 perception checks. And even then, I think that's why I disagree. It's like we couldn't do anything to her anyway. Seeing her do that could have been like, you know, like I feel like there could have been a little bit more Joe could have done with that at that point.
Again,
her stealing it.
What I'm saying is
the fact that he said, "Oh, none of you saw it," is like
none of us saw it wasn't good.
We can't do anything.
But the thing is, like, not being able to do anything is what I'm saying. Not just the charm thing. Having no options whatsoever. Not being able to overcome the charm. Not being able to, you know, do anything to stop that. You know, just nothing at all. Zero things.
I disagree. There were things we could have done. The problem is, so here's the thing. I had some ideas. The problem is I had prepared none of those spells. You can't attack the charmed creature. Or the charmer, sorry. The charmed creature can't attack the charmer with harmful abilities or magical effects. It's harmful, so it's things that specifically do damage.
I just like
other ways around it.
There are other ways around it, but unfortunately, I didn't have any of those. The only thing I used and then got shut down instantaneously. I used my Wall of Force. They just got rid of that, which was kind of impressive.
Okay, that was,
get rid of the Wall of Force.
Yeah, the fact that one of them actually had Disintegrate prepared is interesting, but that's fine. Honestly, that doesn't bother.
Like the teleporting one, I'd give you that, you know. But the thing is, like, I used one of my high-level spells, and didn't really. And it wasn't even like an aggressive spell. It was meant to be like, I don't want to fight you right now. That was it. I just didn't want to fight them. Anyway, regardless, we could probably discuss this for a while.
I was gonna say there are a couple things I could think of. Like, for example, like had I had polymorph prepared, that funny enough would have worked because I wouldn't consider that harmful.
No, Joe probably would have. I'm sorry, I don't think that would have. I think if I had another, I think because it has an effect.
Joe,
it's kind of like
to be fair, Joe might.
I would argue it's exactly like my irresistible dance that I can use once a day.
Wait, did he say you couldn't use irresistible dance on her?
Yes.
Oh, that's stupid. I missed that.
The agreement was because it leaves them open to attacks. It's harmful.
That's stupid. That's not harmful. Like, okay. Like, here's the thing. The whole point is to not do damaging effects. Like, that's kind of, in my opinion. I wish I knew that. I would have argued with Joe more on that. I'm sorry.
Personally, I could see that direction for the argument. It was one of those weird things about, like, it could go either way, and it's like one of those things that's very vague. I think that's where I'm not a fan of the entire, like, harmful spells kind of thing, or like stuff like that, you know. If they said like damaging spells, it's a different thing than, like, you know, they're kind of like saying anything.
Curious. Charm. I'm just curious about Charm 5.5.
5.5. Yeah. And it's
no. 5.5 EP. Let's see if they changed these.
Yeah. I just don't.
Charm.
No. I knew it left a bad taste in my mouth, but I think it's for different reasons than I was thinking originally. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. In the end, I more didn't like that we couldn't see it and we could do nothing about it.
Yes.
So that's the thing. I still think it could have been fun to try and balance, like, getting in her way and, like, trying to talk her down while fighting. Like, I think that could have been very interesting.
I was thinking of trying to do that, but because I didn't see anything, I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. But that's the thing, is Joe's just like, none of you saw anything. She made her check. I don't like that because it's just not. That's not fun at that point. When you just like, it's a literal shutdown of no.
It was piling on something that was already a bad situation because we already all failed our checks, and so it's like we're already suffering from that, and it's just basically another difficult check that I was the only one allowed to roll. I think. Well,
like, yeah, because you kept bickering at him, and
because I was like, I'm facing her, basically, is what I'm saying. You know,
yeah.
Like...
According to him, it should have just been her sleight of hand versus the perception DC of which is, I think, is a bit wasn't that great because it required on her perception, which was not high. Like,
yeah,
she wasn't trained in it, I don't think.
No, our NPC rogue.
Yeah, so...
No, we'll beat up your NPCs all we want, Blaze. We're allowed to. I don't remember NPCs of yours were beating up. But anyway, so yeah, so I think, again, like... I just think it could have been handled a lot better, and I don't think I necessarily like her charm ability, because, again, like, it's better than any other charm ability that's not a dominate.
Here's the thing. It didn't bother me as it's for use in combat. It was very interesting to have to, like, fight around her. Here's
the thing, though. I just think because she's allied with things trying to murder us and dealing us damage, we should have got another check. That's all I'm saying, because all the other charm spells claim allies.
I will say they fixed the wording in 5.5e. You can't attack the charmer or target the charmer with damaging abilities or magical effects. They changed harmful to damaging.
Oh, so they changed the wording to it. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, it's clear, and well, here's the thing. In my opinion, that shows how the clear intention. Like the fact that they changed one word means that it was clearly an intention that wasn't getting through, rather than So I think Joe's wrong.
So that was that thing there. Yeah.
That was my big problem. Anyway, but yeah, should we continue? She stole that from us, and so now we're good.
Yeah, we got away. That was it. That was all we did. It was just that we finished the combat.
And then she got away. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anybody do anything on Sunday?
Oh,
finally getting to that.
Nope.
Monday.
Monday was my game.
How's that going? It's been a while.
It's going all right. Some stuff has progressed. The party has received some cool artifacts that'll level with them as they progress the game. And they've pretty much been chosen by gods to deal with some bad stuff that's happening.
Interesting.
They went to the main elf town, which is a super cool elf place, and they're gonna go in the swamp to deal with some elf ruins and a crashed elf spaceship, because that's the thing that happened in the last game on the setting.
Oh God, you're right.
Where
I remember you
Joe
talking about
crashed a spaceship onto the planet and the reactor blew up.
I recall discussions of this. So yeah.
They're basically going to go deal with that. And then there's a side quest to go and deal with any of the remaining like demon warlords that are in the area from the demons that we dealt with in the last game. But that's a side quest. They technically don't have to go deal with that. Someone else will deal with it eventually.
That's someone else's problem.
Yeah, like they're not like super tough dudes. They're kind of just like the low level minions.
Neat. So it sounds like it's an interesting direction there. Did you do anything on Tuesday?
Tuesday we had Cell's Pathfinder game. We're just playing through Hell's Rebels, not Hell's Vengeance. It's fun. The game is a lot slower than most, or at least it feels slower than most adventure paths because there's a lot of downtime. I think we're averaging 1 combat per adventuring day, which is fine. It just makes the game a little easy when you can just use all your abilities on 1 combat and then go sleep.
Yeah.
And the metagame, I think, is a little cumbersome because it's a lot of dice rolling. But because the whole rebellion building thing, it's all dice rolling, and it's just a little, like, kind of boring more than anything. But overall, fine. We're 4 sessions in. We're not done with Book 1, and we've already maxed out the amount of rebellion stuff we can have in Book 1.
Jeez.
So, it's just, like, kind of a more chill game, which is nice. I don't think we do. I'm playing a paladin in that. Lightning's a ranger. Joe is the whatever the bomb throwing class is. I don't remember what that's called.
Alchemist?
Alchemist?
Alchemist,
Joe's
it's
an
an
alchemist,
alchemist.
and then Jay's playing a sorcerer.
Mm,
So we got a good party going. Hoping the AP can make it past the fact that most Pathfinder AP stopped being fun after book 3.
yeah, it is an unfortunate thing, and again, it's that entire thing of I'm glad they switched to a 3-book system because when they after 3 books, keep it simple.
Yeah, but yeah, that game's been going alright.
Cool. Neat. We had Fallout Habit Spell on Wednesday, and I think it went pretty decently. How'd you like the party, Worm? I'll say.
I liked it.
Okay.
I thought it was fun. Ixmore would have loved to stay longer. Ixmore likes high society.
You did do a bunch of high society stuff. That was very interesting. Basically, the entire premise was they went to a big old masquerade ball to...
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. Basically, they were looking for a elven noble to negotiate some things with. And, yeah, they had to deal with all the basics then of that, you know? So it was a very interesting one there.
I think you could have had us make more like impression check. What was it called?
The problem is, you're the only one good at it. You weren't speaking.
I still think it would have been amusing. And,
It would have been amusing, but I'm fairly certain all of them would have. That's the kind of thing.
That's the thing. That's kind of the challenge. Where it's all like, and then,
I know.
Like, I can. What's fun is because I can do it with performance checks. It means I can actually do it without speaking.
I should have had
That's the
more
whole
checks,
point of
yeah.
You're So Cute.
I
That's the whole
sh-
point
I
of the
sh-
You're So Cute. I can perform and make good impressions on people.
I should have gotten a few more checks. I can see that, you know. I kept it interesting.
Anyway, that's my that was my only complaint is there were no checks at all. Well, there was the stealth.
I think I had a few checks, but not very many. I think it was like maybe 1 or 2. I probably should have had some more checks. I did just roll it as much more role playing mode. So.
Yep, which is fine.
So that was
I
entirely.
just feel like Pathfinder does have a lot of social rules, which I actually like them, but I can see why you don't if you don't like them.
It's less that I don't like them, and I'm probably still honestly scarred from old social things in games. Like a lot of the shenanigans that happened in both Buccaneers Shackled Sea and Crimson Queen. There was a lot of weird shenanigans that happened in those games. That's just of like, and I guess it's because 2nd edition, I've been like, you know, gotta get used to like, you know, and letting the different system fly in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Because they do rulify everything, but that does mean if you don't use those rules, players miss out on some of their content. You know, like that's the hard part about the way they handle it.
Yeah, I get that. It's just have to like, you know, leave it open. Get used to it more.
Yeah, make an impression. That's what it is. Yeah, there's making impression checks, and then there's like coercion checks and all that stuff. So.
So that was Wednesday, and I think it went well.
Yep. No, overall it was good.
I think I didn't have anything else tabletop the rest of the week. Did any of you? I know you have today, Worm, but Mom, do you have anything else during the week then?
No.
Okay. So Worm, you had your Saturday. How'd that go?
It was looking real dicey at the end of last session 2 weeks ago, but thankfully we actually got through it. I passed a 12% chance success. Something with 12% chance. So that's my highlight. I really didn't do much because it was mostly the paladin like detecting evil to try and clear out everything. Because we're just it was basically we finished the final boss fight and we're just kind of clearing out and trying to get rid of the evil in the area because we're in like an undead evil temple. So they smashed a few things and then, you know, examined around, found some more things. We took note of where treasure was, but we didn't pick any of it up yet. It's going to be more of an inventory management thing next time. Today was kind of like the end of role-playing, but my character really didn't get a lot to do. However, I did name him for some traps, and apparently magical traps have a 50% chance of being detected, like, so they're twice as hard to check. And I only have a 25% chance, so in the end, I succeeded a 12% check. 12% chance of success check. And I was happy about that. And they're like, now do you want to disarm it? I'm like, no, that's the same roll. And now that I know it's a magical trap, there's no way I'm going to try that.
All right. Well, that was our amazing week in gaming. Things happen.
Yeah, it was just a big, it was like half of it was combat. The other half of it was all the religious characters role playing. So
Gotcha.
It was like, so my character is not religious.
Yeah, I've been there. All right. Well, that's our show then. There. Thank you two for joining me this week. It was good. It was good to have you all. I guess hopefully we can get some more popping on occasionally for you, Momo. Hopefully things are a little bit more stable now and less crazy, but life. And then Worm, you've got your shout out, so why don't you chuck that on out there now?
Yep, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. One day that'll go away, those numbers.
It's a process. Yeah. I remember that process. It's a process. Okay. Anyway, cool. Check out my stuff. I'm the big old host here, Cast After Chairman. Thank you for joining. All my links are down below. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to check us out live. Or if you're watching us live, check everything out on YouTube and all that kind of jazz. Hope everybody has a good rest of your week. I'll be back on Tuesday, so hopefully you'll see me then, and normal kind of week for me next week. All right, everybody, have a good one, and goodbye and farewell.